Hello children. Today we will discuss the second part of the chapter body movements. In the first video we have discussed about the movement and its importance, that the movement is present or is seen in both plants and animals. Then we discussed about joints and its types. Today we will start with human body movements. Children, you might have seen a tent made up of cloth, or you must have played inside it, or you must have played inside a dollhouse. Now, what is the thing that give it the shape, or what is the thing which keeps it upright? That is the poles. In the similar way, there is a framework of bones in our body which give it shape. Now, this framework is called a skeleton. The skeleton system, it is made up of bones and cartilage, and some organisms, they have the skeleton on the outside of the body. That is termed as exoskeleton. It means they bear the exoskeleton, like you must have seen the snail or cockroach. These are the animals, or these are the organisms which have the skeleton present outside their body. But in the case of animals like cats, dogs, fishes or human beings, the skeleton is inside the body, which is known as endoskeleton. Now we'll have a quick look at the human skeleton over here. We can see that the bones, whenever you touch any part of your body with your finger, so you will observe that the hard surface is there. Like whether you touch your head, whether you touch your hand, whether you touch your feet or knees, any part of your body, then you feel a hard structure over there. It means that the bones, they stretch from the head till the tip of the toe. We can see here that we start with the skull. Now the skull consists of cranium and the facial bones. Okay, the cranium, what is the cranium? Cranium is also known as the brain box, which protects the brain, covers and protects the delicate organ brain. Then we have the facial bones like upper jaw, lower jaw. These all comes under the category of skull. After that, we have the collar bone or the neck bone. Then at the back, we have vertebrae or the vertebral column. Then in the front, let's come back to the front. We have the shoulder bone. As you can see over here, the shoulder bone is there. Then after that, we have ribs, upper arm, lower arm, and vertebral column. Then we have wrist, fingers. Then coming down, we have hip bone. Then we have thigh bone. Then we have knees, and we have a kneecap or patella. Then we have foot bones and ankle bones. So we'll discuss about these types one by. In humans, the skeleton system, it extends from top of the head to the tip of the toe, as we have already discussed. Now human beings have 206 bones. But this is not the case when a child is born. When a child is born, it has around 300 bones. After some time, when the child turns into an adult, these bones, they get fused with each other, and we are only left with 206 bones in an adult. Now the bones which are present in our body, these are of different sizes and shapes according to the function and the location in the. We'll start with the skull. Now skull, it is the bony framework of the head. Its function is to protect the brain. Now the skull, it is made up of 22 bones. Out of these 22 bones, 8 bones, they form the brain box or cranium, and the remaining 14 bones, they will form the shape of our face. Now, one interesting thing here is that in our face or in our head region, only the lower jaw is movable. Lower jaw is also known as mandible. The other jaws, they have fixed joints, as we have already discussed, so they are not movable. And we use the lower jaw for talking, eating, yawning. All the activities which are carried out by our mouth are done through lower jaw. Here we can see the structure of skull. We have a cranium over here, cranium which protects the brain. Then we have the upper jaw, lower jaw, and this is the entire structure of the skull. Then the cranium, it's made up of 8 bones, and the remaining facial bones, they are made up of 14 bones, which completes it into 22 total, which makes a total of 22 bones present in skull. Then comes the vertebral column. Vertebral column is also called the spine or the backbone. In vertebral column, why the name vertebral column is given? Because it is made up of 33 small irregularly shaped bones which are called vertebrae. Now, what is the function of these vertebrae? These vertebrae, they contain a small hole or canal in center. Now, what is the purpose of that? Through this, the spinal cord will pass. Okay. Here, the vertebrae, they are joined together by which joints are present here? We have already discussed in gliding joints that the gliding joints are present in vertebral column as well. So, vertebrae, they are joined together with the help of gliding joints. It means that there is very little movement. We can only move slightly back or forward. Not very much movement is possible through vertebrae. It supports the brain. Now, the functions are, it supports the brain, and it also joins the bones of the rib cage. It also protects the spinal. Here we can see the structure of vertebral column. So here you can see there are 33 bones which are irregularly shaped. Not every bone is of a particular shape, but all of them, they are having a canal or a hole in center through which a cord passes. You can see a blue colored cord. If you can see it clearly, it passes through these vertebrae. Then there is a rib cage. The bones which are present around our chest, these are known as ribs, and these are in 12 pairs, one on each side of body. Each rib, now what it do? It joins the backbone at the back, means the vertebral column. The ribs will also join the backbone in the back, and at the front it will join the chest bone or the sternum. Together they form the rib cage, and the rib cage, it has a function to perform. It protects the delicate organs like heart, lungs, parts of stomach and kidneys, etc. Here you can see the structure of rib cage. There is a front part, you can see there is a chest bone, and at the back the ribs is connected with the vertebral column, and these are presented. Then girdles. Now what are the girdles? Girdles are the ones, these are attached to the backbone and they provide support to the limbs. Now we have we have limbs, right? We have upper limbs and lower limbs, and the girdles support these limbs. There are two types of girdles, pectoral and pelvic girdle. We'll start with pectoral girdle. Now pectoral girdle, it is also known as shoulder bone. Okay, now what does shoulder bone do? It will support the bones of the arms and it is joined to the collarbone. And what it will do? It will help in the movement. We are able to move our shoulder and arms because the pectoral girdle provided support. Then there is pelvic girdle. Pelvic girdle is also known as the hip bone. Now in case of pelvic girdle, it is made up of three bones, and these three bones, they are fused together. And through the pelvic girdle, as we have seen in pectoral girdle that the bones of the arms are attached to the pectoral girdle, here in pelvic girdle the bones of legs are attached to it, and it forms a bowl-like structure on which the body rests, and it is used to sit, and also it is the strongest part of our. Here we can see the diagrammatic representation of pectoral girdle and the pelvic girdle. Upper limbs. The upper arm has a single long bone which is known as humerus, and it is joined to the pectoral girdle as we have already seen. At the elbow, we need know elbow is a joint. It means there will be a joint of two bones or three bones. It could be more than that also. So at the elbow, the humerus joins the two bones which are radius and ulna of lower arm. So now we are very much clear about this, that the upper arm, it consists of only one bone, that is humerus, and the forearm or the lower arm, it consists of two bones which are joined together. These are radius and ulna. Then comes our wrist. It is made up of small bones, and these bones are known as carpals. The hand joins the wrist and it is made up of many. Then we have lower limbs. Again, in the case of lower limbs, we have a long bone which is known as thigh bone or femur, which is the longest bone of our body. It is joined to the pelvic girdle on one end and knee on the other. Then at the knee, it is joined with two bones. In the arms or in the upper limbs, we have the names, two bones. What were they? A radius and ulna. Here, in the case of legs, we have the bones naming tibia and fibula. Now, the knee, our knee, it consists of a disc-shaped structure, cap-like structure, which is called patella. The ankle joint. Now, what is the function of this ankle joint? It will join the leg to the bones of the foot. You can see here the structure of upper limb and the lower limb. See, there is above side there is pectoral girdle which attaches the humerus. Then the humerus at the elbow, it joins the two bones which are radius and ulna. Then we have wrist, which is made up of small bones known as carpals. Similarly, here we have pelvic girdle which attaches the femur or the thigh bone. And at the knee we have a kneecap, a disc-like structure, kneecap or patella. Then here the two bones are there which are tibia and fibula. Now, what are the functions of skeletal system? The skeletal system, it supports the body and gives definite shape to it. It protects the delicate and vital organs of the body like heart, brain, lungs, etc. And also it acts as a storage of minerals like calcium and phosphorus. Now, one interesting thing we already know, that is, it's not possible to move without bones. Although we say that bone are hard structures, but still the movement is possible due to the skeletal system. Now this movement is coordinated along with muscular system. We will discuss about it later on. Now some bones, they can also consist of bone marrow. And what is the function of this bone marrow? It produces the... We have a cartilage also. In the starting only we have discussed that the framework of bones and cartilage forms a skeletal system. Now, what is the meaning of this cartilage? Cartilage is actually a soft tissue which is attached to the bones. The function is that it protects the bone and also helps them to move. Because itself the bone cannot show the movement. Now, one interesting fact about cartilage is that it also gives shape to certain parts of our body, like ear, pinna and nose. In ear pinna, when you touch the upper part of your ear or nose, then you will find out that this is not as hard as the other parts of our body because it doesn't consist of bones. It consists of cartilage. Again, cartilage is also present in our joints. Why in joints? Because it helps in easy movement of joints. And these are flexible. It means not as hard as bones. And as we have seen that the bones, they consist of calcium, phosphorus. The cartilage, it consists of proteins. Movement and muscles. We know we have now a structure or the framework of bones and cartilage. It forms a skeletal system. But the skeletal system shows movement in coordination with the muscular system. Our body, it consists of muscles. Now these are joined by tendons. The muscles, the place, now we need to understand the key terms over here. That the place where a bone is attached to the muscles, that is joined through tendons. Okay, the place where the two bones are joined together, they are joined with the help of ligaments. Now, the muscles, they cover the entire skeleton and cause the movement by contracting and relaxing. So there are two terms associated with it, where the muscle will show movement by contraction and relaxation. How come? We'll see to it. To understand this, let's do an activity. What you have to do is make a fist with one hand and bend your arm at the elbow and touch your shoulder with the thumb. Then you will see that there is a change in the upper arm. What is it? You'll touch it with another arm and you will see a swollen region or the bulge in the upper arm. Now here, this bulge is observed due to muscle. This shows the contraction in muscles. Now, when you bring down that arm into its normal position, then see that the muscle will be in the original form or the normal state. So what happens? In the case of muscles, they work in pairs for the movement of bones. When one of the muscle contracts, the other muscle is pulled in its direction and it relaxes. Next, what will happen? The relaxed muscle, it will contract and pulls the bone back to its original position while the first muscle relaxes. So we have two muscles. Like we have seen, if you want to move any bone, then we will require muscle, and these muscles we require in pairs. Now when one of the muscle will contract, the other one relaxes, and in order to relax the contracted muscle, the other bone is pulled towards it and relaxes the first one. In this way, the movement is coordinated. Here you can see that the muscle is contracted in the first place, and then the second muscle is relaxed at the time. But when the first muscle is relaxed, the second muscle gets contracted in order to bring it into its normal or the original position. That's all for the day, children. Thank you so much. Have a very good day ahead.